As many of us know, the opening for season 1 of Oshi No Ko was Idol by Yoasobi, which is an extremely popular song worldwide. However, something interesting about the song is it was actually based on a short story titled 45510, written by the same author of the Oshi No Ko manga, Aka himself. That made it seem like a cool fun fact, but as it turns out, recent events in the Oshi No Ko manga have made the short story become much more relevant to the overall plot. Of course, I'll explain the short story first, and then I'll add a spoiler warning before I talk about the connection to the manga for those who don't want to be spoiled. As for the translation I'm using, I'll leave the credits and link to the full thing in the video's description. The story has 4 chapters, and the first starts with us following the POV of a certain Bikomachi member. It's expressed how the internet contains an archive of various texts, images, and videos spanned over the past few decades. Essentially digital memories, which can vanish forever without a trace, like they never existed before. All those memories could be erased because of a simple server outage, service terminations, or an account deletion. If no one comes to the rescue, those moments are gone forever. That's something the MC for the story has been made aware of. They let out a soft sound of realization, and their long dormant heart springs to life. What she had encountered was indeed a ghost. It was a legendary idol who had vanished from the entertainment industry 16 years ago. She had stumbled upon the archive of a past livestream illegally saved by a fan. This woman questions how long it's been, and isn't too surprised that dedicated fans were able to save the stuff for so long. When she looks at the video description, the upload date was right around the time Bikomachi was beginning to gain momentum. That was right around the time Ai returned from her hiatus. These days, streaming idols is a pretty normal thing, but back then, it wasn't as widespread yet. According to her, President Saito, who is Ichigo, the president of Strawberry Productions, was the one who thought of the idea to stream, and tried to get them all to try it. The MC remembers streaming a few times, but can't recall much of what happened during those streams. Perhaps if there was even a single archived video she could watch, it would bring back memories. However, it was unlikely that could happen. After all, the streaming service they used had been pretty slow to adapt to modern technology, such as the rise of smartphones. Of course, that meant viewers moved on to other services, with better quality, and the site basically shut down for good. Even if she could log onto the site, she doubted the data could be recovered. Basically, it was very likely that this single video saved by a fan was literally the last one remaining. She then dragged her mouse to the thumbnail and clicked it hesitantly, knowing all those long buried emotions would rise to the surface. The second chapter then begins with the MC stating she hated Ai. Her private life was fun. She was in the entertainment industry and could hang out with many celebrities. Yet her private life was not Bikomachi, and the MC was unsure if she enjoyed even a single minute of her time there. She was always busy with rehearsals and lessons on top of having to travel all across the country for events. There was never time for her to sightsee, and she even missed out on school trips and events when she was back home. Worst of all though, was the star of the video she was watching now, Ai. Her presence alone cast a shadow over the MC's activities. Even she knew that most of Bikomachi's popularity was actually Ai's popularity. She was the center of every performance, while the rest of them were basically backup performers, only there to enhance Ai's performance. Management was clearly biased towards Ai, and everything Bikomachi did revolved around Ai too. Of course, it was understandable why. Without Ai, they wouldn't sell, would probably still be underground idols, and never be as popular as they were. She understood but still hated how much Ai was favored. Bikomachi started out as a collection of junior high models from small, no-name agencies. Young groups were popular back then, yet the girls turned to ordinary women as they grew older. In the entertainment industry, appearance played an even greater role than talent. Most of Bikomachi had to deal with these unforgiving standards. The MC felt like she was very beautiful back in junior high, but as she grew older, her round face that was part of her charm began to hold her back, as it made her look more childish and unrefined. Negative comments on her appearance became much more common. That's why she was jealous of Ai, whose appearance never seemed to change. She was also certain the other members shared a similar resentment, but they all tried to get along on the surface. Yet, the MC was certain even Ai could realize there was a barrier between her and the other members. They worked together for years, but she never felt Ai had been honest with any of them. Back in the early days, they would go out together sometimes. Yet no one could actually get close to her or understand what Ai could be thinking. Then one day, one of their members had gotten so fed up, they began to go at Ai by stealing makeup and spreading horrible things about Ai behind her back. Yet, once Ichigo caught wind of that, he immediately got rid of the girl. Not even a farewell or graduation concert. Just an announcement about her departure. It was at that moment it became clear that they better work well with Ai if they wanted to stay with Bikomachi. Of course, it felt like absolute bullshit to the MC of the story. After remembering all that, the woman finally clicked the play button on the video and begins chapter 3. The video begins with Ai saying hello and questioning if anyone could hear her. Since it's a bit too quiet, Ai then tells everyone to turn the volume up. There's no hesitation in her voice. Yeah, that's just how Ai was. Looking at Ai on the screen reminded our MC how beautiful Ai was up close. Perhaps the passage of time had caused the MC to underestimate Ai's beauty over the years, but she was certainly gorgeous to anyone who saw her. The video continues as Ai then questions what they should talk about. The president said she should talk with chat, but Ai doesn't really know what to talk about, so she decides to just read comments at first. The first comment asked what Ai had eaten today, so Ai just says she didn't eat anything. The next is what brand she's wearing. Ai just answers with Uniqlo. Then for her favorite bug, Ai says it's their secret. So is her favorite place to go out. It's clear to the MC how vague Ai's answers really are. Ai couldn't even tell her fans her favorite bug for some reason. The MC then remembers Ai was always secretive from the start. She dodged nearly any question that was asked, which seemed to give her a mysterious charm to her fans. One question then asked what food Ai hates, and Ai says that white rice really isn't her thing. Immediately the MC knows she's lying, since she's seen Ai scarf down white rice on set many times. That type of answer was in line with Ai's character though, and Ai actually continued to explain that's not that it tastes bad, but it's also very soft. It's like if you're expected to bite something off, and instead bite something extremely hard. Anyone should be able to understand how much that sucks. Ai even has a very specific example about taking a bite and instead there's glass in there. That would hurt like crazy. So for Ai, it's more like a fear than not liking it. She'll eat it, but will also be prepared for the worst. Ai then smiled, the same almost emotionless smile the MC was used to. Then the next question came, asking if Ai had any plans to get married someday. This time, Ai denied it immediately. For some reason, she couldn't imagine herself getting married. Sometimes even her fans say they want to marry her, but Ai wonders how serious they are. She questions what marriage is about. Like, is it an expression of love? Is it about being together forever? If it's something like that, Ai doesn't think she can understand it. To the MC, Ai's expression here seems a bit more open and genuine. Then Ai says she may have started to get that feeling recently. That feeling of wanting to be with someone forever. That answer sent chills over the MC, who can sense the signs of a brewing scandal even now. Fortunately, Ai clarifies this by saying her relative has babies that are just so cute and wishes to be around them more often. Of course, we know Ai is referring to Aqua and Ruby, but not the MC, who can picture the entire comment section breathing a sigh of relief. Barely anyone knew anything about Ai's personal life, and even in the present that should be the case. Yet, a swirl of complex emotions still washed over the MC when she heard Ai's response. The next question was what kind of guys Ai was into. Ai says it's tricky because it would probably hurt chat if some of them learned that they were not her type, yet she decided to give them some answer. Even the MC turned up the volume a bit more to hear what Ai was gonna say. She starts by saying she wants to be with someone who doesn't lose it when she messes up, because Ai knows that happens a lot. Someone who gets worked up over little things would probably get annoyed with her fast, so I would rather avoid someone like that. The MC knows about Ai's blunders quite well. For example, Ai had a habit of not using people's names. Like one time when she called Ichigo the wrong name and got scolded for it. One of the Bikomachi members who loved to play video games even made a remark about Ai, saying Ai couldn't distinguish people from each other because they were all just NPCs to her. The MC always remembered that, but then Ai continues by questioning if love must be all about trust. Like if someone showed her love, she should feel the same way as them. However, Ai's a bit scared as it's tough for her to believe words like love and like. Ai then reveals how she's never fallen in love before, so she wouldn't know what that means. Plus, Ai admits that she's not good at opening up, and hopes she's not freaking other people out over this. Ai doesn't want people to hate her, but also she doesn't mind talking about herself. She actually wants people to know all about her life, including the dirty parts, and wants them to say it's okay and accept her. For the first time in the MC's life, it felt like she had finally heard Ai's true feelings. Ai is about to continue, almost as if she was going to reveal something, but then the video cuts off, leading us into the final chapter. There was a 1 in the title of the video, so the MC thought that there were probably other parts of the video. Unfortunately, there was nothing else there when she went to the uploader's page. The MC had seen most of the Bikomachi videos still floating around with Ai, but then she remembered their early days where they had talked about starting a shared blog account. They were just 4 kids hanging out at a fast food restaurant back then, filled with innocent dreams. Eventually, it had been decided they would only use an official account created by management, so the one they had made together was abandoned. However, the MC was sure Ai had written there a few times. The MC then tried to log into the site, and after a few tries, she finally got the password right. The password was 45510. Takamine, Nino, Ai, and Watanabe were the 4 names of the founder members of Bikomachi. and 45510 were their initials when input using a Japanese phone keyboard. When she logged on, the MC found 7 posts. She found that their old entries were pretty cringy due to all the emojis and fangirling they had in those blogs. However, before she could delete everything out of embarrassment, she found an entry by Ai that had been made private. It was a post directed towards Nino, Takemine, and Watanabe. Apparently, I had stumbled upon these pages a while back too, and remembered how they seemed to be such good friends back in the day. Ai then blames herself for how stiff things began to be within the group. She genuinely did want to be friends with everybody. I knew they didn't like her, but she never hated any of them. She would like it if they could go back to the way things were and be able to tease her like friends do. If they do see this message, I hope they could call her out so she could apologize. She really wanted to fix things, and then says that there's something she's really been wanting to tell them for a long time. However, the MC closes the video before she can hear the rest of it, before immediately deleting that video from existence. From the MC's perspective, that wasn't Ai. To her, Ai clung to no one and was unfettered. Ai was nothing like this clingy girl writing mopey messages to her friends. This was not the MC's Ai. The MC doesn't need to know who the real Ai is or watch these videos. After all, she's already watched all of Ai's streams. Thinking back, the MC recalls how the earlier video was the only time Ai ever showed weakness. It was to talk about the glass and rice, which actually led to the story of Ai's mother hiding broken glass in her rice. As Ai told that story, it was the weakest she had ever looked. Perhaps the uploader cherished Ai as much as the MC. Yet the MC is actually someone who couldn't bear to acknowledge Ai's vulnerability, so she actually erased that video and the entire blog too. Perhaps then she may have been Ai's only cry for help, and now it'll never be heard again. After turning off her computer, the MC can see her reflection. She's a woman who is a true follower of Ai. And that's how the story ends, with the reveal of the former Bikomachi member being a believer who worshipped Ai more than anyone else. Yet, it was also made clear that the MC hated Ai just as much. We don't have 100% confirmation, but the manga has made it pretty clear who the MC of this story is, so click off now if you don't want to be spoiled. If you're still here, then the MC is very likely to be Nino Fuyuko, the former Bikomachi member who loves and hates Ai. Going off her interaction with Ruby, Nino holds Ai to a similar standard as the MC of the story. To Nino, Ai wouldn't be hurt by her cruel words. Ai was the strongest, most invincible queen in Nino's eyes. Yet she also told Kana she hated Ai and wished for her to disappear. Nino's definitely the POV of 45510, which is even more relevant now. Aoko is fairly certain that Nino is also directly involved in the deaths of Goro, Yura, and Ryosuke. If that's true, then Nino is still a threat to the main cast and might be the final target of Aoka's revenge. What do y'all think though? Did 45510 really foreshadow the threat of Nino? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. I got some Oshi No Ko content here too that you can check out. Peace.